What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to this channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the brand new 2026 Toyota Corolla Hatchback, courtesy of Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we're in this one because the Corolla Hatch is known for fuel efficiency, it's known for reliability, and it's known for fun all at the same time. There is one major change for the 2026 model year as well, and in case you were curious, this one's going to be competing with the Mazda 3 hatch and the Civic hatch. The difference being the Corolla hatch, for whatever reason, is substantially less expensive. So keep that in mind. But ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2026 Corolla Hatchback. First one being the SE, starting at $24,180, which is a $675 bump from the 2025 model year, in case you were curious. Then you have the FX, which is a brand new trim level for 2026. That one starts at $26,780. And lastly, the XSE, being the one we are in today, going for $27,175. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Corolla hatch is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder. This puts out 169 horsepower at 6,600 RPM, 151 pound-feet of torque coming in at 4,800 RPM. That power is going to be sent to the front wheels through a CVT with paddle shifters, which of course you guys know we will be testing out here in a little bit. But 0 to 60 time approximately 7.5 seconds. But if you were comparing this to the Corolla sedan, the Corolla sedan actually comes in at 7.8 seconds. So the hatch is going to be slightly quicker there, with MPG numbers coming in at 32 in the city, 41 on the highway for the SE, then 30 in the city, 38 then on the highway for the FX and the SXE trim levels, taking regular unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun acceleration or paddle shifter test here in the Corolla hatch, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. It's a silver toggle switch located just in front of the shifter. Drive modes are going to include Eco, Normal, and Sport, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity. So now I've got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test. I want to see how quickly the paddle shifters react, and of course, let's see how quickly we can get the new Corolla hatch here up to speed. All right, found a straightaway. Full manual shift mode, by the way, is all the way to the back and to the left. I am in sport driving mode. It's telling me what simulated gear I am in 3, 2, 1, go. Not bad. Nice. I think I said this last year. This car is so good at simulating an automatic transmission. This is a CVT. Traditionally, CVTs feel like CVTs. It's just one big rubber band kind of thing. But Toyota did a really good job with this CVT because it really does feel like you're almost shifting through gears. So when I hit the paddle shifters there, it kind of lunged me forward like I shifted to the next gear or something. It's pretty darn cool. Like, I didn't expect that. So the paddle shifters are kind of fun, I will admit. Although you're not technically shifting through any gears, they are still kind of fun to play around with. So I like that. And also, having said that, acceleration is plenty fine. Like, this car has plenty power for what it is. So you're definitely not going to have any issues merging onto the highway. 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. That is plenty respectable, believe it or not. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's still plenty respectable for the class. I'll just put it that way. So I actually don't mind any of that. That turned out pretty darn good. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 11.5-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 10.5-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 6-0 stopping distance goes, that comes in at 129 feet, which isn't the best number on paper, but we're going to put it to the test here nonetheless. As far as braking feel goes, whoa. It's actually not that bad. I love the downshift there. That's why I said, wow, it's sport driving mode. That's kind of cool, but it's actually not that bad. It's a little bit firmer of a braking feel. And like, the number led me to believe that it was going to be a much softer braking feel, but it actually felt kind of good. Like, I don't have any issues with the braking either. So far, performance isn't that bad. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front, you're going to get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension. As far as ride quality goes, as we're cruising down the most smooth road in Hagerstown, it's been pretty darn good. But having said that, traditionally, when I've driven these vehicles, I've driven all the compact cars at this point, Corolla usually does have the best ride quality, believe it or not. I'm not just saying that. I've driven over 1,000 cars at this point, It really does. I think it's this and the Elantra as far as 1 and 2 when it comes to ride quality. The Civic, you can feel everything. Mazda's not bad, but it's not Corolla good. Like when it comes to ride quality, if you're looking for ride quality in a compact, the Corolla's got it on lockdown for that. As far as steering feel goes, now that's going to adjust dependent upon the drive mode that you put it in. Let me start by saying that in just the regular normal driving mode, it's kind of on the looser side of things, but the cool thing is it's got that sport driving mode. So with the sport driving mode, it's a heavier weight to the steering, instantly pointing you in the direction that you want to go. So a much more playful feel. Not quite as good as the Mazda 3, but it's still pretty darn good. Like it's something that I wouldn't have any issues with. So I like the steering feel in the sport driving mode. I'll just put it that way. Then touching on cabin noise, as we're going 48 miles per hour right now. I'll take it out of sport driving mode so it's not higher up in the RPMs, but I'll be quiet here for a second. It's not that bad. Honestly, again, it's nothing that would personally bother me, and I'll do another test here. We're about to hit the bridge here. It works for me. Like I said, it's not gonna bother me. Then touching on rear visibility, I mean, with hatchbacks, they're traditionally not gonna be as good as the sedans, but this one actually isn't that bad. I remember the Mazda 3 being absolutely horrible. So comparing this to that, this is pretty darn good for a hatchback. I'll just put it that way. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior now of our brand new 2026 Toyota Corolla Hatchback. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Toyota Corolla Hatchback, finished in a color combination of black and windchill pearl, in case you were curious about that. And by the way, those color combinations, they range from like $500 to $900, I believe, somewhere in that ballpark. So you can get solid colors, they're no extra charge, but if you wanted one of the two-tone colors, they're around that ballpark. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Corolla hatch is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the letter J, indicating that the Corolla hatchback is built and assembled in Japan, as it should be, JDM. So starting up front, you will find a gloss black front grille that will come standard for all trim levels across the board. LED headlights to the sides with LED daytime running lights. You get the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses the vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. And then you guys can see in the bottom corners there, you also have LED fog lights, but those are only for the XSE trim level that we have with us here today. So I did want to emphasize that, but anyways, that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, LED integrated turn signals actually do come standard for all trim levels across the board. I wanted to start by mentioning that. Taking a look down at the wheel setup is actually going to differ pretty substantially as well. For example, the SE trim level is going to give you 16-inch alloys. The FX has the coolest looking wheels of any of the trim levels. I just want to say that. Why? Because they're 18-inch white alloys. In a world of dark wheels these days, everything's gloss black wheel setup. Some are gunmetal like we have with us here today, and these are 18-inch alloys, which you guys are looking at. This is specific to the XSE, but the FX gives you white alloy wheels. They look like they're straight off a circuit car or a car from Fast and Furious or something like that. They just look stinking cool. But anyways, overall side profile, especially with their two-tone color combo, definitely looks good. That pretty much rounds out the side profile though. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Corolla hatch here, all the way to the top, you're going to get a gloss black shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. If you go with the FX though, there's going to be kind of an additional rally type spoiler up on top of this spoiler, just to let you guys know about that. Rear window wiper affixed to the rear glass back there for all trim levels, of course. LED taillights also coming standard for all trim levels. They look absolutely amazing. Got some trim level badging back there. You guys can see the XSE badging, of course. And then just below it all, this is the part where I wish Toyota would have changed it up a little bit. There is a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away. However, with it being a hatchback, hatchbacks typically being a little bit sportier of cars, would have loved to have seen an exhaust outlet that's possibly exposed, or best case scenario integrated into the rear bumper. I think that would look absolutely amazing. It doesn't even have to be dual exhaust outlets. Just make it something interesting. Like, this is a sporty car. This should have a little bit more flair when it comes to the exhaust system. But anyways, having said that, let's check out the exhaust note. I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. Here is that exhaust clip. All right, right, so but now since we are around to the back of this one still, when it comes to opening that rear hatch, there is a rubberized button on the bottom portion of that hatch. You simply just lift up on that. That is how it's going to go ahead and open up. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 17.8 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, there is a 60-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down for quite a bit of extra space then if you needed it. Got some chrome plated tie down anchors back there, a little bit of cargo lighting, a little bit of indented storage to the back corners. There is a cargo cover, and then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you will find a spare tire, which you guys know I always love to see, as opposed to the fix-a-flat at least. But then make your way up to the rear legroom. That comes in at 29.9 inches. For reference, I'm even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the back there. This isn't a lot on paper. This comes in right around what my old Ford Mustang GT had, so not a ton of space, but the sedan will give you more space if you did absolutely need some more rear legroom. But overall, rear center armrest with cup holders does come standard, so I did like that. You also have dual rear USB charging ports back there then as well. But then making our way up to the front seats, manually adjustable cloth seating for the SE and the FX trim levels, Softex upholstery for the XSE, 8-way power driver seat for the XSE, heated front seats for the XSE trim level as well. So if you want the best seat comfort, this is the trim level to go with. Having said that, I have driven the non-XSE Corolla hatch before. Hasn't been that bad. So overall seat comfort, plenty fine no matter which way you go. But yeah, power adjustable seats are always going to be more comfortable, obviously. But then taking a look at the steering wheel, tilt and telescoping, it is also the leather wrapped for all trim levels across the board. You don't always see that at this price point, so I did like seeing that. Then make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. You got your Toyota logo, lock and unlock, pretty basic key, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply pump my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located kind of by the driver's right knee there. And so once started up, when it comes to the gauges, analog gauges are going to come on the SE and the FX trim levels. However, you are looking at a 7-inch digital gauge cluster. That's going to come standard on the XSE trim level only. You do have your outside temperature. You have how many miles you have left until you hit empty. Fuel information is all the way to your right. Engine temp is on the left. And when you change your drive modes up a little bit, you do have a little bit of color changes. For example, if you put it in sport driving mode, it's going to be some red hues. Normal is going to be blue and eco is going to be green. Wouldn't have minded a bit more customization, Toyota, if you're watching this. Completely different loadouts would be nice rather than just the same look, but just slightly different colors. I would have rather have seen a few completely different looks. It's probably a simple like software fix you could do, but I think that would look dang cool. That's just my personal opinion. But then making our way to overall interior quality, first thing I want to mention, because we do have this option, you can get a frameless rear view mirror with HomeLink controls for up to 3 different garage doors. We have this option. That one goes for $175. That's an option I always like to look for. LED interior lighting also coming standard. That looks pretty darn good. It kind of has a Mercedes-Benz look to it up there. Wireless phone charger for the XSE trim level only. Automatic climate control for the SE and the FX trims, meaning you set the temperature, it's going to automatically hit that temperature for you. However, dual zone climate control for the XSE, so both driver and passenger could set their own individual temperatures if they really wanted to. But just behind that wireless phone charger, surrounding the shifter, everything is finished in gloss black. I like that. You got a matte black finish, however, around the cup holders here. That's not really a big deal. Then within the center armrest, there's actually a decent amount of storage in there. You have a 12-volt power outlet, USB charging port as well. A lot of soft touch material like the contrast stitching found just above the passenger side glove box as well. So overall, I would be perfectly fine with this interior quality. For the price point, I honestly think Toyota did a pretty darn good job. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen. What you guys are looking at is an 8-inch color touchscreen display, and yes, that comes standard for all trim levels across the board. Bluetooth and audio streaming with that. Wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay also coming standard. You can check out your driving statistics up there as well, along with your radio information. So when it comes to the sound systems, there are 2 of them. You get 6 speakers for the SE and FX trim levels, and then there is an 8-speaker JBL sound system for the XSE, and that is the one that we have with us here today. I'm kind of excited to check this one out because I had a JBL subwoofer in my first car, and it definitely had a lot of bass. So let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the clarity of this one. Dang! Not that I didn't expect that, but That's a lot of bass. Like, it was rumbling the rear view mirror. Like, that was wonderful, like in the best possible way. Nothing was rattling or anything either, which is kind of nice because when I had my JBL subwoofer, everything rattled. But they did a wonderful job with this JBL sound system. That was a ton of bass, plenty of clarity. It's a really, really good sound system, especially for the size of this vehicle. They did that perfect. But anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put this thing in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board, letting you know who or what is behind you, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so starting with the best part, the Corolla Hatch is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which, by the way, is the very highest designation given by IIHS, so it doesn't get any safer. Front side curtain airbags do come standard, but they go above and beyond. Of course, driver's knee airbag, passenger seat cushion airbag, and rear seat mounted side impact airbags, which is like a $350 option on Mercedes and BMW, just to let you know. So you gotta love that. Also in the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. And yes, that comes standard. That gives you a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, dynamic radar, cruise control, lane departure alert, steering assist, lane tracing assist, road sign assist, and proactive driving assist then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the 2026 Corolla Hatchback, brilliant reliability. That is what Toyota is known for, especially their naturally aspirated and hybrid configurations. And so this is a naturally aspirated engine. This thing should easily last over 200,000 miles. That is just what it's known for. Check out Consumer Reports if you don't believe me. So anyways, great safety as well. It doesn't get any higher than an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, so that's pretty darn good, of course. Both sound systems are good. I didn't mention it, but the 6-speaker sound system in this thing is actually pretty darn good as well. Remember testing that out. It's just the 8-speaker JBL sound system is amazing. But as far as room for improvement goes, the rear seat legroom is obviously very minimal. If you needed a little more legroom, you got a couple options there. You can either go with the Corolla sedan, or probably at the same price point, you might even be able to pull off a Camry LE. I think that starts at around like the upper 20s as well, 27, 28,000, and you can get a lot more rear legroom. But anyways, the other thing I think is definitely a necessity in this one would be multicolor ambient lighting. I think that would be so stinking cool in a car like the Corolla Hatch, because again, this is kind of, it's more of a sporty car, and it's going to be appealing to a certain audience that might think multicolor ambient lighting is kind of cool. I mean, I think it's pretty cool, especially with the trim level like the FX. You would think you would at least put it on that. Just because everyone did back in the day. I'm just saying, street glow was everywhere, and with a car that looks like it's straight out of Fast and Furious, I think ambient lighting would be cool. I'm just saying. I'm done though. That about rounds out this one, you guys. Let me know if you would pick up a Corolla Hatchback in the comments section below. Feel free to follow me on social media stuff if you wanted to see what's coming next on the channel before it gets to YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe with the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what I've been doing for 11 years now. I do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay cold.